Hey everybody, it's Dave here. We have Flip in the middle and Tyler on the end, and we are starting inside the 2 minute mark. We are watching, getting ready for this show. I am behind schedule as usual. This is the first post-game show live, and I'm wondering if the only place we're seeing it is on YouTube, even if they picked it up. Let's check it out. Yes, it is live. Good on YouTube. All right.
Let's
Guys,
do it.
what are your thoughts so far?
Are we hitting the rolling or?
We will. But
Hey, it's a preseason game.
give us a
No need to
brief.
be too fired up.
Yeah. Oh, we got Facebook picked up. Outstanding, Andrew. Hey, Mary Skull. We usually hit the roll in right after the game ends.
Hit the rolling. The fans are ready.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's do this. Get ready to join the conversation. Win or lose, victory or agonizing defeat, disappointment or glory. Climbing the pocket is here. And we are back from the roll-in. Daniel,
All right.
Jim, Dan, Mary, Andrew, thank you for joining us. Yes, here we go. I'm showing 41 seconds on the clock. What are you guys showing?
Game over.
I don't even have a TV in this room that I do this in, so the game's over as far as I'm concerned. Let's talk.
All right, let me kill my TV. If I could find my remote. There we go. Boom. And yes, we lost.
All right. So, hey, we lost. Let's go around. What do we think about this game? Let's start with a low light from each of you. Tyler, what's your main bad thing that you took away from this game?
Our backup quarterback situation is booty. Look, Mond showed a couple flashes, but on that play, and I talked about it on the space and I tweeted about it. That play where he scrambles around and has that misfire in the back of the end zone is the epitome of, one, why the Vikings took a chance on him in round 3, and 2, why they shouldn't have drafted him at all. Because there is a lot that you can work with Kellen Mond. There is athleticism. There is a decent arm. But the problem is, in between the ears, he cannot process the information in front of him fast enough and make quick enough and confident decisions in order to take advantage of his athletic gifts. We saw it for 4 years at Texas A&M. We continue to see that with the Minnesota Vikings. Mannion, great coach, bad player. Very similar to his boss, Kevin O'Connell. So the Vikings need to figure out this backup quarterback situation. Obviously, if something happens to Kirk Cousins, the season's probably over to begin with. But if he's out for, let's say, one game, let's say COVID strikes him again, you have to have somebody that can come in and win a game for you. Right now, the Vikings
Why do you have to have that? Why do you have to have that? Let's be honest. Why do you have to have that?
You should have a backup quarterback that can come in and win you a game or two. You're not going to have a backup quarterback that's going to give you a Case Keenum lightning and a bottle run. You're just not going to be able to find that. If you find it, well, the Vikings did in both 1998 and 2017. Those are far and away the exceptions to the rule. You should have a guy that can come and win you 1 or 2 games. The Vikings don't have anything close to that right now. They should be able to find something like that.
I understand that, Tyler, but at the same time, this is where I'm like, I guess we're going to hop into the quarterback conversation. The Vikings don't have realistic Super Bowl aspirations at this point in 2022. And while we should have a backup quarterback situation that's better than what we have, I completely agree with that. The fact that we don't, it's like, well, how many NFL teams actually do? How many NFL teams have a backup quarterback that they trust to come in and replace their QB1 in case something goes wrong? I mean, The Rams don't have that. The 49ers, if they trade Jimmy Garoppolo, they're not going to have that. Teams like the Patriots, who are trying out a new rookie quarterback, or like the Bears with Justin Fields, don't have that. So there are several teams around the league that have, but for a backup quarterback situation. The only reason that we're so focused on this point right now is because our QB1 wasn't available. We know that both of these quarterback twos aren't very good. And the other thing I'm going to say, that if you're going to criticize these quarterback twos after this game in relation to this game, it's Sean Mannion that we should be talking about first. Because as bad as Mond was with the accuracy, Mannion has been the same crap ass quarterback on the field that he's been since he's been through Minnesota. And at least Mond showed progress. Like when we drafted Mond, everybody thought he was a project. Everybody thought there was a good chance he would never amount to anything. But at least we saw him take significant strides. He looked like a different quarterback, like a better quarterback before than he was last year. And he looked like a better quarterback over the course of that game. So at least our developmental QB is starting to develop.
That's not unfair. I think Mannion is never going to be any better than what he is right now. And he showed he's awful. But I still think that we need to have something better than Mond, because I haven't been a fan of the Mond pick since it was made. I don't think Mond's going to be really better than what he is right now. And that's the tough part.
What do you want the quarterback two to be? Do you want the quarterback two to be a guy who can come in and win you a game? Do you want the quarterback two to be a guy who QB1 can rely on during game planning, during the course of the game? When Kirk Cousins is healthy, it makes sense to have Sean Mannion. When he's hurt, like he was today, Sean Mannion doesn't make any sense at all. And so that's where I struggle with this conversation is, we know these guys can't win us a game. They're not designed to win us a game. So why are we asking them to look like they can win us a game?
My best case scenario for this flip is this. I would have pounded the table to sign a guy like Chase Daniel. He's a veteran. Mm-hmm. He's already proven that he can win games in the National Football League, mainly by beating us when he replaced Mitch Trubisky a couple years back. And he has that clipboard mentality as well, where he could replace Sean Mannion. And the frustration I have with the Mannion conversation is, if you want to have a guy in the room that Kirk Cousins can rely on for that, like, clipboard holder per se, just hire another assistant. Give Kirk Cousins his own guy that he can rely on in the quarterback room. Like, I would rather pay like $3 million to Chase Daniel for that ability to come in and be able to win you a couple games if needed, than pay Sean Mannion the minimum when you know he's barely going to be able to throw a touchdown pass. And his best play last year ended up being a tip ball to Garrett Bradbury, where Bradbury got 25 yards after the catch. Like, that's kind of where we're at, right? And like Mond, I think Mond in theory is great. Like, that's the kind of guy you want to have as your backup quarterback if you can't find a Chase Daniel, because those guys there's probably like 5 of that type of player in the NFL, maybe a couple more.
And there's a 5% chance he catches fire. There's a 5%.
All you're asking,
unlike
all you want from that guy is to be able to come in and play well enough to run an offense and rely on the skill players around him to carry that offense and win a football game, like Matt Moore did for the Chiefs a few years back. Like, we're not asking for the world. We're asking for enough. And right now we don't have enough.
And that's why Mannion, to me, is 10 times more frustrating than Kellen Mond in this situation. Because, okay, sure, he can hold the clipboard like a Matt Moore, like a Chase Daniel, but you get him onto the field, and it's like, what is this guy doing here? Like, at least we know when we put Kellen Mond in the game, the expectation should be low, but he's better than he was before. And if push comes to shove, I think Kellen Mond should be QB2. If Kirk Cousins gets injured in week 5, I expect Kellen Mond to simply look better than he did today, even continue to make progress. That's enough for me as we head through the season, because let's be honest, we're not getting like a Nick Mullins or a Jarrett Stidham to come in here. We've got to make a decision between one of these two guys, and I'm sick of being a clipboard holder as the main reason to keep Sean Mannion.
If you want to keep Sean Mannion, just tell him, hey, we're not going to bring you back, but we'll give you, like, let's say $400,000 to be an assistant. There you go.
Okay, but like,
can
can this guy actually coach? Let's be honest. Like, I don't think this guy can coach. I don't think he's helping to develop Sean Mannion. Come on.
Who knows if he can coach? But everything that we've heard is that's the reason why he's still in the building, is because he is like an extra coach, quote unquote.
And Kirk Cousins shouldn't even need one. Kirk Cousins doesn't need an extra coach. Don't get me started there either. Oh, we got to go to the next low light. We got to go to the next low light.
Since you haven't got to me yet, was especially in the second half, I started noticing the edges on the defensive edge positions, and I didn't notice who was playing, but they were losing edge contain. They were either being pulled in, they didn't push up the tackles to get in the way, and the Raiders were finding the edges on us. And that's purely on that outside linebacker position to contain in a 3-4 defense. They've got to do that. And like I said, it was the third quarter, fourth quarter. We're only talking about the third stringers. They're probably, it's questionable. There are some plays I like, but others that I didn't. So, but that was my focus. Besides the quarterbacks, we all focused on that. But the edge guys got to firm things up. And, of course, we didn't see either of the starters on that today.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything to come back at you with there, Dave. I think that's a very fair complaint. It looked like the pass rush was a little bit lackluster all game. I know the run game, Harrison Phillips, DJ Wanham, and Dalvin Tomlinson did a really good job of shutting down some of the Raiders' run game early in the game. Tyler, did you see anything that popped out with our defensive line play?
Yeah, I saw two things. One, Jonathan Bullard, the free agent signing we had a few weeks ago, played with both San Francisco and Chicago in the Vic Fangio defense, played very well. I was really excited to see that. He can do a little 3 technique, 5 technique. If you're going small ball, he can play like a 1 technique or a nose, but that's really only on pass rush downs. And then DJ Wanham, it's year 3, man. Where's your pass rush plan? Almost every time he was in the backfield, it was either like, hey, I'm just going to run straight at the guy and hope I can get in there, or something happened where a hole opened up in front of him. There needs to be more to his game. And it's frustrating that we've heard positive reports about him at camp, but last year there was really no plan. Most of his sacks were effort-driven, or, hey, you're just going to be unblocked. And I'm still seeing the same things. I thought Patrick Jones had a couple really nice reps. I was talking with Luke Braun, friend of the show, host of Locked On Vikings last year, and he put it great. At Pitt, he had 4 pass rush moves, all at about 30%. He can do a lot, but he's not really great at any of them. If we can continue to develop each one of those moves, we can get, at worst, a rotational pass rusher, and that's incredibly valuable in this defense.
I saw Armon Watts with a good run stop. I saw Asamoah get swallowed up on one play.
That explosiveness was awesome.
But on 2 plays later, he nailed it for a tackle for loss. There's hope.
Yeah.
There's hope on the
All right. There's hope, and that's why we're going to switch to highlights. So, Dave, give me one highlight from the first preseason game.
One highlight? Actually, we did get some sacks in the first half. We had 3, and I think we got 1 or 2 in the second. So, there's progress. I love seeing Booth out there, even though he got flagged twice on, I think, the first play or whatever it was. I love that attitude. I saw Dantzler hitting. He was popping people all day long. He was around the ball. Dantzler probably gets my ball of the game for what I remember seeing, especially in that first half.
Hey, there's a new culture in Minnesota now. We don't yell at our players for missed tackles or penalties anymore, guys. That's the Zimmer way. We need to be players, coaches. We need to be player-centric. When they mess up, you just tell them everything's going to be okay. So that can't be a low light. We can't criticize penalties anymore. It's a new regime. Tyler, what was your highlight?
Ty Chandler. and the running back depth. Honestly,
Mhm.
I talked about it in the space, and I talked about it online. I don't see how Alexander Madison makes this football team if Wongwu and Chandler keep playing like this. One, they both showed more vision and they have more explosiveness. And Madison's big issue, he has all the tools, but he can't see what's in front of him and take advantage of those opportunities. And we saw it again in this game. I think it was the second run from scrimmage. If he takes it right where there's a hole in that zone, he gets about 7 yards and potentially 10 if he breaks a tackle in the process. Instead, he stays straight ahead and only gets 4, and the Vikings end up going 3 and out. Well, the second Wongwu and Chandler come in, they're seeing the things in front of them. They're taking advantage of the holes that are opening up by the offensive line, and they are doing a great job. And they also have that added element of explosiveness. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah in his first draft, albeit with Zimmer's old scouts, they focused on 10-yard split, that initial explosiveness and burst. Chandler has that, finishing, I believe, in the 93rd percentile in 10-yard split. Wongwu, we already know, has it. And to see them be able to utilize that in the running game, and then Ty Chandler absorbing that hit on the kickoff return and then taking it around the right side for 56 yards, I really think, one, Madison's not going to have any dead cap because it was a third-round selection 4 years ago. I don't see how he's going to end up being better than these two guys. Like, I think Madison's time with the Vikings is done.
Woo! Hot take. I completely agree with everything we saw from Kenne and Ty today. The explosiveness, the vision, far more eye-catching than what Alex Madison put in the first quarter. The one thing where I'm a little hesitant to cut Alex Madison, because I would love to cut Alex Madison, don't get me wrong. I put Kenne Nwangwu as one of the main guys I saw today that I want to see how they feature him in the regular season. But with Alex Madison, we have to remember that pass blocking is a thing for these running backs. And so you see Kenne and Tyson flash with the ball in their hands. What are they doing when the ball isn't on their hands? I think if you go back, you look at that first quarter, the Raiders were sending blitzes. Alex Madison was doing a pretty damn good job of picking up the free blitzer, crossing the line of scrimmage when he needed to, giving Sean Mannion as much time, although it didn't matter because he's Sean Mannion and he's just statuing back there. But I think that's the one piece missing from Kenne and Ty, is that they can put themselves in a position where they can be trusted blockers. Then there is no reason at all to have Alex Madison blocking their progress. But for now, they seem like fun gadget guys. They don't seem like somebody you want taking on a big, 250-pound linebacker on a blitz quite yet.
I saw Wangwu in the first half catch a pass and run it for a first down. That is good to see that he does have those hands and can do that. So it's another bonus for him. What did you think of ISM getting the majority of the kickoff returns?
I wasn't looking at the kickoff returns specifically. I do think that ISM was another one of my featured players, guys I'd like to see featured in the regular season, just as we start to think about how this offense has interchangeable parts. And it's good to see, ISM and other rookies progress, especially our skill positions. You have to feel really good about our skill positions. The fact that we're dogging Alex Madison, when it seems like we've got 6 wide receivers who can play. Tight ends you'd like to see a little bit more. But no Justin Jefferson, no Adam Thielen, no Dalvin Cook today. And it still looked like we had plenty of skill talent on the field. Hopefully some of that translates to special teams again. We do have some questions on the offensive line, and that's kind of like goes back to what I'm saying about Alex Madison, is if we don't have a running back who can pick up those blitzes, and we've got Garrett Bradbury and Jesse Davis in front of that running back, like what are we going to do? It seems like that is still going to be a problem after watching this preseason game.
It was.
Yeah.
I noticed both Bradbury getting shoved back and causing problems, and I also noticed Davis releasing a block too early that caused a sack.
Yeah, Tyler, what'd you think?
Was Ed Ingram the best offensive lineman today? Like, I saw a lot of positives from him. I really like, and I noticed this on his film. If there were too many times at LSU where there was nothing for him to do, he just looks to go hit somebody. And I think that's a really nice trait for an offensive lineman. Got a little bit of that nasty streak that you want to see. There were a couple plays early on when he had just gotten in the game where, hey, my job's done. I'm going to go hit somebody. So he goes to the right tackle and just annihilates a guy. Like, I really like to see those things. I thought some of his reps looked pretty good. I think he did get beat once for a sack. But, I mean, Jesse Davis looked like a traffic cone. So, like, I don't really – in essence, like, this right guard spot, obviously it's not going to Wyatt Davis. After watching Wyatt Davis for 2 years in college, like, watching the all 22 and then seeing this, I don't understand what happened to him. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's frustrating because I thought it was an inherently great value pick at, I think it was 85, and now he looks like he's not even going to make the roster. Like, I think Ed Ingram's in line to potentially be the starter, and at worst, he's going to be the first guy off the bench.
Yeah, what was troubling to me is that we had the full first team offensive line in, and we were still taking sacks. You know, we were still seeing the pocket collapse. That's Brian O'Neill in there. That's Christian Darrisaw in there. So I don't know if it's a line call, if it's miscommunication, if Bradbury and Mannion aren't seeing the same thing, but I'm always at the point where I think some of these line calls just still aren't right. And I'm not a film expert. I'm just watching the game. But it seems like the first team offensive line should have their crap together. And I know it's not physical. I know it's not talented. I've seen enough bad Garrett Bradbury to play to just say, like, that guy is making the rest of the offensive line worse. So Jesse Davis, Ed Ingram, I'm intrigued by that conversation, but I am so much more mindful of what happens at center because I think that's the more important change that the Vikings coaches might need to make.
I agree completely. Now, keep in mind, the offensive line is going to take a while to build chemistry and gel, right?
Why? There's only one new player.
No. Well, I agree there, but the problem is when everybody's practicing and running plays, doing every other thing, they weren't allowed to hit. They've only hit for a handful of days so far. It does take them a while to get into that full speed, full contact, ESP type of deal where they know everybody's moving because they haven't practiced at that. They haven't done that since last January. They're going to take, I'm not saying it's an excuse. I want them to be there. But
you're saying that Garrett Bradbury is going to get better.
No, I'm not saying that whatsoever.
Getting hit.
I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I expect the better players to get better throughout the preseason. I expect them to get better in the first month of the season. That we see steady progression to get better and lock down that pocket, lock down the blocking assignments. Don't miss. To when I talked earlier on my show, when you're watching that offensive line, one easy way is generally when the quarterback comes up under center, the camera goes back behind him, but then it shoots to the line, the view down the line of scrimmage. If it's a run play, look to see that the whole line moves about 2 yards into the defense, right? If it doesn't, one of those guys is missing a block somewhere, right? If it's pass coverage, that they fall back into that nice cup shape, right? And nobody's being shoved back into the middle of the backfield like we saw today. I want to see that solidify. It's got to be a wall. It's got to be a wall going forward, or it's got to be a wall setting up for pass protection. And we did not see that as cohesive as we wanted to today because we have problems. We have problems in the middle of the field. And you can't fix that with what we have. He's supposedly good at calling plays, but I didn't see that today, calling this game. So, hey, what's wrong with J.C. Treader? His knees, obviously, is one of these.
Can you wear a weight vest? We've got plenty of questions coming in from the fans. Matt
Why didn't
Paris,
they
J.C.
play
Strader.
Reed today?
If fans, if
I
y'all
heard
have questions, please ask them now. Go ahead, Tyler.
Dave. Ben Gessling said he hadn't practiced last few days and believes it's an injury thing, but no specifics were given. My guess is he's just a little beat up because otherwise they probably would have given an actual reason or an actual injury. It's probably just a precautionary thing.
Too.
Well, this is the five we started today are the five that are most likely to start the season against Green Bay. So, do you think we're ready for week? Do you think we're ready for week one? What do you think we're going to need all three of these other preseason games to get ready for Green Bay?
Two others.
Two others.
I think we still need to see more from those two interior line spots, and we need to see something better than what we saw today. We need capable pass protection, and we need to not be traffic cones. Like just be average. That's all we've really ever asked. Be average. If Bradbury can be an average pass blocker, you're talking about a guy who could be a Pro Bowler. Like, he's so good in the running game. If he can be an average pass blocker, just don't suck. If they can get that from the center right guard position, it's going to be inherently better on the offensive line because it's a weakling system. Right now, we've got two.
Yes, Brian, we do have practice this week with the 49ers. That will be full speed with the big boys, the ones. And
questions are flying in.
I'll take Stevens real quick. He asked, what's the deal with switching quarterbacks in the fourth? Steven, I think O'Connell wanted to see both quarterbacks with the same group of guys. It was both quarterbacks with the ones, both quarterbacks with the twos, both quarterbacks with the threes.
Yeah, making sure they get an equal amount of snaps and evenly distributed throughout the game. Yep. Tyler, where does Tyson Chandler fit in? You covered this earlier, but let's say in your dream scenario of Dalvin Cook, Kene Wangu, and Tyson Chandler, what is that role for Chandler?
Kick returner, and he's going to be your third back. He's going to be the guy to spell Dalvin Cook. He's going to be able to be utilized on third downs. One thing he was good at in college, he was good at pass protecting. Obviously, you're talking about a different caliber of athlete at a consistent basis at the NFL level, but good pass blocking traits in college usually translate to the pros. So I would like to see him and Nwangwu get a combined 15 touches a game, keep Dalvin around 20 to try and elongate his career and prevent him from potentially getting injured and really being a true workhorse. You have talent in the backfield that's really good in a system that allows them to amplify it. Let's utilize it and try and keep your star player from really getting worn out.
Related question. Can we trade Alex Madison for a center? And if your answer is no, could we also throw in CJ Ham into that trade to trade Alex Madison and CJ Ham for a center?
I don't know if you're going to be able to trade Alexander Madison for any kind of capital. The only way I can see it is if you have a team that has a running back go down early and you can get Alexander Madison for hey, we'll send you a 6 for Madison and a 7, something like that.
Or 6 conditional or something.
Yeah. I think that there's a way to be able to move Madison for actual assets. I don't know if you're going to be able to get a player for player swap.
All right, rapid fire. Joseph's asking, what's your prognosis of Andrew Booth Jr. today?
He struggled, but he's also a rookie. He's finally healthy. It's going to take him some time, and it's especially going to take him some time to adjust to how the NFL calls penalties on defenders, and we saw that today with his first target. It's going to be an adjustment period. We're going to have some Xavier Rhodes type frustrations with him, but he's going to figure it out, and I think he's going to be a very, very good pro.
I don't disagree. He's not going to start, though. It's going to be Dansler and Patrick Peterson.
Yeah. And that's probably the best case scenario anyways.
My question is, we saw Booth get some time. I know he's coming back from injury. But after that, you saw them put in a Caleb Evans. You saw them put in Chris Boyd. And there was no more Andrew Booth. I'm saying get these guys some reps if he is healthy. And we have to kind of be at a point in the preseason right now where we realize, we expect these rookies to make impact. We saw awesome play from Tyson Chandler Brian Asamoah. At the same time, some of our more premium picks, Andrew Booth Jr., Lewis Seen, didn't really get as much playing time as I'd like to see. So if and when they can factor into our regular season is something I'm tracking for the next 2 weeks.
Well, you got to remember the first cut is Tuesday. They'll cut five players, and then five the next week, and then the big cut. So the coaches may be saying, Booth and Seen, they've already made the team. They're in no danger of not making the team. They may want to look at that bottom of the roster guys to see if any of those guys break out to make their decisions easy. Because Tuesday, we can come up and see Wyatt Davis gone. We could see Boyd gone. We could see whoever gone. And
especially with next week's game probably going to be focusing a lot more on the starters because with only 3 games, this is going to be that preseason game number 3. You're going to get a long look at what the starting offense is going to be. Probably a full half is my guess. So I think Dave's right. I think they were probably trying to get the back end of the roster in more because they only have a short window.
Well, I didn't see anything from Booth and Dantzler that made me think we can cut Chris Boyd right now and enroll with what we've got. So,
well, Boyd may make the team, and Evans may make the team, and that may be your quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Evans is almost guaranteed to make the team. He'd have to have a disastrous camp. They traded a 4th-round pick and a 5th-round pick to move up to get him at 118. I don't see a situation unless he has a Corn Robinson type. Hey, I'm going to drive like drunk and 110 miles an hour up 169. Like I think he's a Glock. Yeah, Dye was not good today.
No, he was not. And Boyd wasn't great either. I just think that we have a luxury of depth there, but you do want to get more healthy reps from Andrew Booth before you start trimming down the cornerback position in general. That's all. Go ahead.
I got one
Dave.
question. What did you think of Mond's scramble there at the end of the first? I think it was the end of the first half.
So let me go first because I know Tyler's gonna be a little criticizing of our boy Kellen Mond. I think it's exactly what you want to see from a young quarterback who comes in with that skill set. Obviously, you want him to hit that throw because he basically lost complete accuracy on his arm throwing on the run. So that's not good, and that's just a talent issue that may cap Mond's ceiling. But for him to escape the pocket, reverse field a couple times, and then extend the play, find the open receiver. He did find that open receiver. He just did not make the throw. Now, again, I compare that to the Sean Mannion, 3rd down sack after 3rd down sack, pressure, getting balls batted down. I'll take the Kellen Mond scramble and misplay over that bullshit any day of the week.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I thought the scrambling and how Mond escaped the pocket and continued to try and look downfield, I thought that was great. And I think that's a great aspect to have, one from both a developmental and a backup quarterback. The problem is at the end when he throws the football, how fast he's making these decisions, how confident he's making them, and then the execution of the throws. Those 3 pieces, there's still something left to be desired. But that first piece, trying to make something happen, you can't teach that. He has it. It's fantastic. We just hope he can finish it off in a much better fashion next time.
I thought so.
Yeah, and we give him reps to do that. I mean, he's got to be quarterback too. If we believe anything about this new culture, this new coaching staff, the focus that they put on developing players, he has to be a developmental backup quarterback right now. You have to treat him like that behind Kirk Cousins. Otherwise, you're just really continuing the mantra that Kirk needs $45 million and a babysitter on the sideline holding the clipboard, which I can't do anymore. Just cut Sean Mannion, develop Kevin Mond. It may all fall apart, but at least you gave it a try with the younger, cheaper option.
I concur.
Mm-hmm.
What have we got ahead?
Y'all are up tomorrow, right?
Bingo! Join us tomorrow on the Real Forno Show. We are going to talk about this game in depth. We're going to talk about how this game hit the over and why that is going to be important for this upcoming week's game. And then we're going to have some in-depth conversations and really just have some fun. Vikings football is officially back. And this, one, makes the content more fun. And two, it makes it more enjoyable. So strap in. We're going to have a great show. Flip, are you guys on Tuesdays officially now?
We are a slight maybe on Tuesdays until the real games begin. Hate to break it to you guys, but I hate preseason football. I don't like watching it. I only watched the first half today. I didn't watch a single play of the second half. So I hear Kellen Mond threw the ball, but I didn't really see it live. I guess I'll watch the highlights after this. So if I have hot takes after watching the second half, then we will have Viking hot takes on Tuesday. Got to keep y'all guessing.
That's cool. Well, this week the Vikings have the 49ers coming to town. They'll have joint practices. The game, if I remember correctly, is Saturday, right, Tyler?
6 o'clock. Yep.
Okay, 6 o'clock on Saturday. With the Niners in town, I will be joining Niner Sickness on his show sometime during the week to talk about the Vikings end of the deal there and maybe find out what the heck they're doing with Jimmy Garoppolo. Big mystery. Hopefully they cut him and then there'll be a bid for that. But should be a fun week. Wednesday we have Vikings happy hour. The guys will get together. They'll talk about this game and look forward to the San Francisco game. And then we'll start all over again on the weekend. We should have
Freddie
on Saturday. And like today, where we had the pregame right before the game, you're not going to, I may put out the podcast, but you're not going to see a big, huge write-up on it because we had the show and then the game. So, but
yes, Freddie, you should bet. Freddie, you should bet the Vikings over 6.5 wins this season. That's a good bet.
That's 9.5, Flip.
Oh,
Freddie, we're gonna talk more
9.5?
about that 9.5 line.
It's at 9.5 right now.
Okay.
We're gonna talk
Freddie,
about the 9.5 line. That there's a lot that I have to say about that.
You got to calm down, Freddie.
We talked about it a few weeks back, but that we have more information. We now have a game under our belts, and then there's some things we can extrapolate towards the season to try and understand if that's a good or a bad bet. Tune in tomorrow. We'll talk about it.
Make the bet before Kirk Cousins plays.
It's more than a simple yes or no answer because there's a lot of stuff to go into it.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for joining us. And what do we say, guys?
Skol Vikings.
Skol
Kellen Mond, baby. QB.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And if you're listening on your favorite aggregator, make sure you rate us. And always feel free to join the conversation here at Climbing the Pocket. Skol, everybody.